Hyundai, however you want to pronounce it, they've just slashed the price of the Ioniq 6. I'm just going to refer to it as the Ioniq 6. It's now $1,000 cheaper than the Tesla Model 3. That's $1,000 US cheaper. Is it better? Should you buy one of these instead of the Model 3? Because it's very, very cheap. Well, that depends. That really depends on how you buy it. If you buy it in one way, my answer would be no, absolutely, definitely not. If you buy it in a different way, then my answer would be yes. So it depends on your method of purchase. I'll explain that in just a second. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking, and I do like the Ioniq 6. I think in the images you see, when you see it online, it looks a bit weird, ugly. I really do agree with what Matt Watson from Carwell says about the Ioniq 6. At the front, it's more cohesive than the back. But in terms of the entire car, it's a very unique vehicle. When you see it in person, I think it looks better than when you see it in photos. Seeing it in person myself, I was actually quite impressed by it. Still weird looking, but in a kind of a cool way. Its efficiency too is really, really impressive. It's got really, really fast charging. If you compared, say, the charging speed of the Ioniq 6 to something like a BYD Seal, they're very different. It's very, very different in terms of charging speed. Now, do you want the battery pack in the Ioniq 6 though? Do you want an LG Chem battery, LG Energy Solutions? I don't know if I would want that. Yes and no, maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. What do you think on that one, guys? Let me know what you think on that in the comments. So what is the price now? The price has been discounted by an additional $4,100, which is 10%. And this, by the way, is for the new model. They've reduced the price for the new model. $37,500 US for the base trim. But it does sound good. The price is good. The question is, are you willing to get this vehicle with the small battery pack? It does have a very small battery in the base model. It's a 50 kilowatt hour pack. Fairly energy dense. It's a fairly efficient vehicle. You're still going to get 240 miles of range, but say if you were to compare it to the $1,000 more Tesla Model 3, is it worth getting the Model 3? Because it does have about 32 miles more range. And it does have a lithium iron phosphate battery that you can charge to 100% without damaging the battery pack. There's some pros and cons of both vehicles. Of course, the Ioniq 6 does have some advantages. Some people think it's newer. It's not the old version. The Model 3 Highland's about to come out, making your new Model 3 obsolete, essentially. There's some things worth considering. There's also whether or not you're going to buy it via leasing. I'm not a leasing kind of guy, but I know a lot of people like to lease, and it's probably financially more sensible right now. If you're going to buy it via lease, or if you're going to buy it via cash or loan. Now, if you're going to buy it via lease, then I think the Ioniq 6 is absolutely worth your time. You should go look at it. Go to a dealership, see if they'll sell it to you for this price. If they will, then it's worth it, because then you qualify for the EV incentives. In the US, if you qualify for the EV incentives, that makes this car a bargain. It's really a very good car for this price if it qualifies for the incentives. Now, it does not qualify for the incentives if you buy it with cash or you buy it using a loan, right? You've got to get a lease to qualify. If you're going to buy it with a loan, there's no way this would make sense, because the Model 3 is $7,000 cheaper. That's too much of a gap, considering the Ioniq 6 base range does have a lot less range than the Model 3. I personally think it's just not even a consideration for $7,000 US difference. That's 11,000 Australian dollars for you Aussies. Pounds, it's about, 6,500 pounds. There's too much of a gap, in my opinion, between the two. But like I said, lease, I would go Ioniq 6 probably. Buying outright, Model 3. Do you guys agree? Let me know what you think. Now, other trims have been discounted as well, though. So that's where this car is also worth having a good look at. For the 2024 model year, the Ioniq 6 has a repackaged SE standard range trim. That's $37,500. So that's your base model, right? In addition to that, there is a $1,115 shipping fee. Tesla has a similar fee as well. And like I said, it comes with a 53 kilowatt hour battery pack and an estimated driving range of 240 miles, or EPA. If you get the version of this car, which I think is way better, with a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery, the long range version, rear-wheel drive, the price is $43,565. it's, in my opinion, worth stretching and paying the extra money. On lease, like I said, on lease, that's a compelling car. $43,565. That's a pretty good deal considering the battery pack is a full 24 kilowatt hours bigger. 24 kilowatt hour extra size battery pack. That's a massive change in battery size. And it gives you a lot more range. Now you're jumping up to 316 miles of range. So you're getting an extra 76 miles of range. In my view, it's definitely worth it. Now that's the long range SE model. So that's the base model, long range. However, if you go the long range all-wheel drive, you're looking at $47,065. So it's a similar price to the Tesla Model 3 long range. Both variants are now $3,050 cheaper than the 2023 version of this car. Why has Hyundai reduced the price by so much? Well, I'd say they want to increase demand. They are saying that they're making more of them, which has enabled them to reduce the prices globally. Well, I don't care what the reasons are, but I'm happy to see the price come down because I think they'll sell more as a result. The better equipped 2024 Hyundai Ioniq 6 SEL and limited trims see lower price cuts of $2,450 each. The 2024 Ioniq 6 SEL rear-wheel drive is $43,565. The limited rear-wheel drive is $51,265. The long-range rear-wheel drive variants of the Ioniq 6 are EPA estimated at up to 361 miles. So the all-wheel drive version, right, on standard 18-inch wheels will give you 361 miles of range. I think this is the cheapest EV you can buy in the United States with 361 miles of range. So if you need an EV with a lot of range, it's definitely worth your time considering it. Personally, I'd prefer to buy a Model Y. I just think the Ioniq 6 is not very practical. It's got a very small boot. It's more like a single person or maybe a couple. Good car if you're a couple or a single person. If you've got a family, I don't think this is really worth considering for most people. So I'd go with a Model Y or potentially an Ioniq 5, right? But the thing here with this car, the tricky part is, I honestly think if you're a customer, you walk into the dealership and you want to buy an Ioniq 6, there's so many models. I'm confused looking at them here right now. I'm like, SE long range, SE all-wheel drive, SE rear-wheel drive, standard range SE, SEL limited, and the limited trims. Then you got the SEL long range, SEL standard range. It's like there's so SEL rear-wheel drive, the limited rear-wheel drive, the long range rear-wheel drive variants. How many models are there? I don't know, about 12. Anyway, I think personally, I prefer the strategy of Tesla's models. I can understand it very easily. It's 3 models. Very simple, easy to understand. Walk into the dealership and you don't go, what's a good decision? What's a bad decision? What's the value behind each of them? I personally would need before I bought an Ioniq 6, I need to get a spreadsheet and just put it all in the spreadsheet. I'd be putting model, range, battery, and then you got like all these other variants. What are the specs? What are the deals, etc. My advice to Hyundai, as we say in Australia, simplify the range. It's too confusing. I used to sell bicycles. People walk into the bike store. We had like 200 bikes. They were so confused. We simplified it. We sold more bikes. It's that simple. That's my advice. Anyway, you guys, what do you think about that? Let me know what your thoughts are. So, prices across the entire range, no matter what the case are, have been reduced. But the price is still relatively expensive compared to, say, an equivalent Tesla Model 3 if you don't lease. Now, if you lease and you get the EV incentives in the United States, $7,500, it's not expensive at all. I think it's a great deal. If you're not going to lease it, then you're looking at an additional cost of $7,500 essentially in comparison. And then I don't think it makes a lot of sense. But not everyone agrees with that. A lot of people think this is a really premium car. So let me know what your thoughts are. In comparison to the Highland, though, most journalists that I've seen say the Highland is the better car. I haven't tested the two compared to each other, but from the videos that I've seen, the reports, reviews that I've seen, people are saying the Highland is the better car. But if you can't buy the Highland, that's not even a conversation worth having, right? Hyundai says that production efficiencies and scale are the main cause for price cuts, and it could be also related to Tesla reducing the price of their car. So thank you, Tesla, for making this more affordable, giving us another option, because before, probably been out of people's budgets, but now I don't think it is. A base Model 3 rear-wheel drive, like I said, costs $1,000 more, but it does qualify for the $7,500 tax credit. It does have a lot more range as well. And it does have some additional features that the Ioniq 6 doesn't have. But it doesn't have some things that people want, which is a digital screen right in front of the driver. That said, if you really want that, you can buy them on Alibaba. Apparently they're quite good. I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people get those in their Model 3 or their Model Y. If you want a heads-up display or digital screen, you can get those installed. Anyway, earlier this month, the Ioniq 6 leasing price was changed as well. This was in response to Model 3 and Model Y leases coming down too. 2023 Ioniq 6 SE, if you want to lease it, it's only $299 a month with $5,000 due at signing, making it $44 a month cheaper than a Model 3 rear-wheel drive. So not only is it cheaper than a Model 3 to lease, but also it does similarly qualify for the EV incentives in the United States. Now, guys, I'm actually really intrigued by this car. I think it's weird but cool, but I want to know what everyone else thinks. Some people love it, some people hate it. Guys, let me know in the comments. Would you get this or a Model 3? What's your personal preference? Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.